Chapter 13. I leave a $20 bill on the table for Kasim, but he slides it back to me when he comes to pick up the mugs from our second set of hot chocolates. Amani and I are the only ones left in the cafe now. They let us stay long after they locked the front door to count the register and clean the machines. So you're going to actually have to do some research, Amani continues. Citing your sources means that you have to show off where you got your information. Show proof of where you got your information and make it look good. You can't just go on Wiki. Proof, I ask? Everything must have proof? Yeah, and you have to, Amani starts to say, but a loud thumping seems to make the whole building shake. Music. Heavy. It sounds as if giant speakers are suddenly on the sidewalk directly outside the cafe. Instead of covering her ears like me, Amani starts bopping her head and swinging her hand in the air. That's my shit, she says. I watch as Kasim heads for the door, unlocks it, and walks outside to the slow approaching white car. My stomach sinks. Dre. The tinted passenger side window rolls down and Kasim leans in. Dre reaches over to give him something. I move in my seat to get a better look, but I still can't see. Kasim quickly comes back in and waves for us to come out. We gotta close up now. Wait for me outside, aight? He says as I brush past him. Dre turns down the music and comes out of his car wearing dark sunglasses, a black cap, and a gold cross chain. He checks each of his tires, then pulls out a cloth from the trunk and wipes down the big, shiny silver things along the insides of the tires. Those really are 22s, Amani whispers next to me, making me jump a little. 22 what? I whisper back, keeping my eyes on Dre. 22-inch rims, hardly any room for the tires. When we were in middle school, he just had some hubcaps. Rims? Hubcaps? So they cost a lot of money? For a BMW? Hell yeah, Amani's eyes are glued to Dre's car. And he must have noticed because he's wiping every inch as if he's making it pretty just for Amani. You want to take a picture? He says, leaning back on his car and biting his bottom lip. Amani shakes her head no. Come on, do it for the gram. Dre takes out his cell phone. I can see that Amani doesn't want to. Dre gestures for her to come over even though she shakes her head again. Dre is trying to control her like he controls Donna. Amani drops her book bag and slowly walks over to him. I wonder if her skin is itching now. I want to stop her, but Dre grabs Amani's hand and gets down on one knee next to one of the rims, pulling her down with him. She almost stumbles but lands on his lap. He extends his phone and takes a few pictures of Amani on his lap, himself and his dark sunglasses, gold teeth and gold chain, and expensive rims. Amani walks away really fast when Dre lets her go. You got one too, Fabulous? Dre asks just as Kasim walks out of the cafe and pulls down the gate. I'm relieved when Kasim comes over and puts his arm around me. He pulls me in and kisses my forehead. The only person who has ever done that is my mother and, when I was little, my aunties in my old neighborhood. Aw, shit, Dre says, leaning against his car. Fabulous and my man Ka, that's what I'm talking about. Dre said he's going to give us a ride. You cool with that? Kasim asks. I turn to Amani. She shakes her head. Yo, what's your name, shorty? Dre takes off his sunglasses and he's still wearing his eye patch underneath. He licks his lips and his good eye looks Amani up and down as if she's a piece of freshly fried griot. Imani, she says. Come on, I'll take you home, Imani. Imani turns to me and pops her eyes out as if this is all my fault. No, we're okay. We'll take the bus, I say, taking Imani's hand. Fabulous, I'm not going to let you all just take the bus, Kasim says. I glance over at Imani again, and her eyes tell me that she's surrendered. Dre wins, so we both walk over to where Kasim is holding open the back door. I slide in first. Then Dre nudges Kasim. Imani, you could ride with me in the front, Dre says. I start to pull Imani in with me, but Kasim has already taken what was supposed to be her spot next to me. I want to say something, anything, but by the time the courage rises to my throat, Imani is in the passenger seat of Dre's car and the door is closed. Heavy bass music blasts in my ears. From my spot behind Dre, I can see his whole face in the rearview mirror, and even though it's dark outside, he's put his sunglasses back on. Kasim tries to talk to me, but I can only keep my eyes on Imani, who has pressed herself against the car door, trying to be as far away from Dre as possible. In the cafe, this song was my shit, but now she's as still and quiet as a stone, even as Dre inches his hand toward her lap. Kasim tries to do the same, and I turn my head away from him each time he comes closer to whisper something in my ear or kiss me. I want to say that it's not him. It's this car. It's his friend, his fam. It's Dre. I'm so distracted that I don't even notice when we reach American Street. I thought we were going to drop off Amani first, but Dre finally turns down the music and loud yelling takes the place of the heavy bass. My cousins, I can't tell which one, but all I hear is, "Get the fuck out of the car, bitch!" "Oh shit," Kasim whispers, and he quickly opens the door on his side. I get a glimpse of Chantal and Pri coming out of the house. Then the passenger side door swings open and it's Donna reaching in to pull Amani out. She grabs the sleeve of her coat, but Amani fights back. "Oh shit," I say, for the first time in my life. I jump out of the car and aim straight for Donna. No, Donna, leave her." I try to pull her hand away from Amani. "Damn it, Fab, get the fuck away from her," Pri yells. "Bitch, you're gonna take advantage of my cousin just so you can fuck my man?" Donna yells. She manages to get Amani out of the car and finally lets her go. Amani's eyes and mouth are wide. She fixes the sleeve of her coat and doesn't say a word to defend herself. "No, that's not true," I yell. Donna ignores me and goes around to Dre and gets in his face. "You posting pictures on Instagram with bitches on your lap, Dre? And you had to do it with a bitch from my school on top of that?" "Pri, Amani didn't want to," I say to my cousin. Pri has come to stand beside me. "Go inside," she says, quietly, with fire in her eyes. But not for Amani, thank goodness, for Dre. I won't leave my friend. I go to pull her away from the chaos of Dungeons and Dragons. "Oh, hell no, you're not getting her out of this, Fab," Donna yells. "She's guilty too." "No," I yell back. "She didn't want to take that picture, and she didn't want to sit there. Leave her alone." "Yo, check your girl, Ka," Dre says to Kasim, who's been standing there like a useless tree stump. Donna shoves Dre and puts a finger in his face. Chantal finally comes over to pull Amani away. I go to my friend, whose arms are frozen at her sides. "I'm sorry," I say to her. "Amani, where you live?" Chantal asks her. "Over there on Montgomery and Lawton," she says. "Please tell Pri and Donna not to beat me up. I swear, I wasn't trying to get with Dre." "Pri's not even thinking about you, and don't worry about Donna. You'll be all right." With that, my stomach settles. I would have to fight my own cousins if they tried to hurt Amani. She's been more of a friend to me at school than they have. Then Pri rushes past us toward the house while saying, "I ain't standing around to watch that shit. She's going to get all up in his face, then next thing you know, she's coming home in the morning with a fucking black eye." Just as she says this, Dre grabs Donna's neck and shoves her against the car with a loud thud. Both Chantal and I run to Donna just as Kasim rushes toward them and tries to get in between. "Calm down, man, calm down," Kasim yells in Dre's face. Chantal pulls Donna away, who is now holding her head down with her arms crossed. And Dre keeps yelling, even as Kasim extends his arms to keep him from getting too close to Donna again. "You already know how I roll, D. It wasn't even like that," he shouts with spittle coming out of his mouth. My fists are clenched because rage burns through my whole body. I want to lunge at Dre's face, but Pri has beat me to it and is already yelling and cursing at him at the top of her lungs. Kasim holds her back until she pushes him off her, and then Dre begins to pace around his car. My hot rage begins to melt. Maybe it's the cold. Maybe it's the way Dre holds his head and bends over as if he's about to let out a loud wail. Then I begin to see him for who he really is. Dre, with his sunglasses even as night spreads across the sky, and his gold cross gleaming, and his love-hate for my cousin, reminds me of the Loa Baron Samedi, guardian of the cemetery, keeper of death. I hate him. I hate what he can do to my cousin. I hate that he is friends with the boy I'm beginning to like. I hate that he sells drugs that make people die. The detective's words ring in my ears. All she needed was information, the time and place of a party. If I can give her that, then maybe I can get this terrible man out of my cousin's life for good and get my mother back. An eye for an eye, and Dre has only one left. Back in the house, I rush to the bathroom and pull out my cell phone, wallet, then the detective's card. Breathing heavily and with fire still raging inside of me, I stare at her name on the card for a long minute before I start texting. I send her my name and my new number. That is all for now. I jump when someone bangs on the door. I stuff my phone and my wallet with the card in it back into my coat pocket and open the door. It's Donna with tears in her eyes. Primadonna's story. You know why I go so hard for Dre? Because he goes hard for me. I swear, ever since I was 12 years old, whatever I needed, Dre always came through. We were broken up for like 6 months back when I was a freshman, and he was seeing other girls and whatnot. But he still got me the things that I needed. It don't matter what those things were. He was just there. I mean, yeah, Pri looks out for me too, but it's not the same. She'd be calling me a hoe, And I know she's my twin and all, but it still hurts. How am I a hoe when I've only ever been with one dude my whole life? Dre took my virginity and he's still the same N I fuck with for 5 years. How many hoes can say that? You know, that's the shit I don't like about bitches. Just because everybody says I'm pretty and I wear nice clothes, it doesn't mean I'm a hoe. But that reputation sticks to you like another layer of skin. I remember when I was like 10, some of Ma's guy friends would come over and tell me that I'm going to be fast just because I was twitching in my little jeans. What the fuck? I was 10. And they'd say to my mother, oh, she got a little body on her, so you got to be packing to keep those boys away. But it wasn't my mother who was packing. It was Dre. He was the one who kept those boys away. Like that one time in the ninth grade, this dude from over on 6 Mile was going hard, coming to my school and buying me flowers and shit. He was really cute, so I went on one date with him. The word got around that I slept with him. It got to Dre, and he was pissed. I had to swear on my father's grave that the end didn't even get to kiss me. So Dre had to deal with him for spreading rumors about me. I found out the boy ended up in the hospital for a week. That's the shit Pre can't do. But Dre, after that, he bought me a diamond necklace and took me shopping. And it's been D&D all along, Dungeons and Dragons. Sometimes we fight each other, but he fights for me and I fight for him.